We will. Yeah, I'm ranking all the cards from Thunder Junction because I felt like it. Well, because I'm going to pre-release Modern. We're doing Modern Horizons 3 pre-release tomorrow. So, and I don't know if I'll be drafting much more Thunder Junction. I might be. This is like attempt 3 at making a public tier list, like a tier list template. I have all the card images. I had to download them all. Um, this doesn't matter because I click this, create a public template. There we go. There's a Magic the Gathering template. I have a plan B if this doesn't work. Probably capitalized. Right. Select template. Right. File Explorer. Where's my local disk? Why is there less free space on drive C than there was like earlier? Sure, I downloaded a bunch of images, but I put them all on drive D. Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Right. I wanted to put Loot, the key to everything, as the cover photo. And then all 381 card images. I'm going to put Scryfall.com because that's where I got them from. Submit. Now, when I tried to do this, basically, I tried to do this earlier in preparation. And it didn't work. It sat here loading for a while, and then I got a blank page. So I will, if this doesn't work, and it doesn't look like it is going to, what was these? A 404. Okay, so we will go for plan B, which is this. This whole thing is gonna go on YouTube. Go away with the adverts. I think I removed the adverts last time with the browser console. Oh, I can just edit that. Then I need to change the colors. Right. 381 images. Right. So yeah, we have 381 card images. And as I did last time I did this, I did one for Murders at Carl of Manor, which is on YouTube. This whole thing will go on YouTube. The rules are essentially C tier is this card's. I'm gonna be. It's from the ranking from the perspective of limited, specifically draft. So it's from a draft perspective. So a card may be theoretically really good if you build a commander deck around it. And there's one in particular that will come up that I'll be like, I've seen a commander deck with it as a commander that was quite cool. It's absolute trash in draft. It's a rare that was second to last pick. I like draft it. It went twice round the table. But C is like, this card's fine. It's you know, it's not bad, but it's probably not interesting, and it may well not make it into your deck. B is a decent card. A is a good card. S is a really good card. Splash is, I'm going to go into one additional color for this card. It's a bit unfair, but whatever. Basically, so if a card is one colored, then I'm in like two colors, neither of which is that card's color, but this card is so good that I'm going to be playing three colors now for this card. I can't remember how you do this. I can just delete it. Wait, is it an iframe? Delete, no, there we go. Yeah. Get rid of the adverts, delete them. Yeah, so if it's a two-color card, then the idea is that you're already in one of the colors, but you're going to go into a third color for it. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. If it were a three-color card, then the idea would be you're like essentially already in three colors and you're going into a fourth color. That's not happening. The card would have to be really good. And same with like a four color. I mean, there are no four color cards in this set. I don't think there are any five colors. There might be a couple of Wooburg cards, but I don't think so. D is like, this is a bad card, and E is this card is absolute garbage. Like, it's completely unplayable. Right. That said, so we've got all of them from the big score. I don't know if they're ordered. They might be ordered. It looks like they're ordered. I've got the special guests. Breaking news are all down here. Except these ones are down here. That looks like it's from the big score. I don't quite know what the ordering is here. We've got the basic lands in. I think they will go in B tier. Wait, have we got all the basics? There's the mountain plains. Yeah, I think they probably all go in. What was this first one? Memory Vessel. Okay, I love it. 5 mana, exile it. Each player exiles the top 7 cards of their library until your next turn. Activate only as a sorcery. But you could, right? Of course, you get to choose when. I don't think it's definitely not Splash, especially because it's in 2 colors. I don't think it's S tier. I'm thinking honestly B. It's 5 mana, so you'd crack it. I mean, obviously, this is we're in draft, right? So in Commander, things are different because then obviously there are typically 4 players. But we're in draft, so it's 1v1. So top 7 cards of that. So you can use it to basically draw you. It impulsive draws you 7 cards, right? But it also impulsive draws your opponent 7 cards. Now, if you're in, I think it's probably B. because you need to have a right situation for it, because it does draw your opponent potentially answers. But if your opponent has cards in hand and if you don't have cards in hand, then it has that right. They can't play cards from their hand, right? You can only play the exile cards. So I was going to say you do it at the end of your turn, but you probably want to do it at the start of your turn, like pre-combat main, because that way you can play a card. You can then, if you exile, you can play lands and cast spells from among them on that turn. You can't, like, if you did your end step, you couldn't. But you can't do your end step. But if you do it, like, you're not going to be casting creatures in your opponent's turn, most likely. I think it's a B. Just because in the right circumstance, it could be very good, because it could really it could give you draw 7 cards for free. In a sense, I think it's B tier, but I'm not sure. Molten Duplication. More on a red source. You create a token as a copy of target artifact creature you control. Except it's an artifact of other types against haste till end of turn. It just duplicates something. What would you be duplicating? I mean, ideally, I think it might be A. So I think the last one was too situational, right? In Commander or something, you could very definitely build a deck around it. I mean, obviously it's not, but you could definitely build a deck that really got good value from it. If you had a deck that cared about casting things from exile, would just be like, well, there's no issue. But in limited, it would be a bit. This, I think, is just good. You're just like, I've got an extra creature. Swing. You do it on a flyer, it's an extra flyer. Obviously, you could create the token, so if you've got ETB effects, it gives you ETB effects. You can also cast a creature that doesn't have haste, then you could Molten Duplication it for 2 mana. I think it's an A. Territory Forward. Why are they all artifacts? Everything from the big... Actually, that's a thing. Everything from the big... That is not... Is that from the big score? I think there are a lot of the things that are like they were in the vault or something. Has 5 mana. ETB... You cast it. It exiled... It's, 5 mana, and you get to... It's basically 5 mana. If you cast it, gain control of target artifact or land. That's basically what it does. It doesn't trigger ETB effects if it copies. It basically just but it doesn't become a creature or anything. So I don't think it's very good. Honestly, like, what are you copying in limited? That's irrelevant. Like, you could hit that. You could get rid of something interesting. Like, most of the lands in this set, as I recall... I mean, obviously, if you hit a basic, right, it would tap for that. It would tap for the appropriate color of mana. Most of the lands are like... I mean, because obviously you've got the ping deserts. I don't know what sort of desert. This is a ping desert. 1 damage to target opponent. That you wouldn't get that because it would enter the battlefield, and then it would already have entered the battlefield by the time this ability resolved. And it wouldn't even get that. It would just get this ability, which isn't very good. The other lands, I guess I could find the other Boros one. Oh no, that is the other port. Again, it doesn't do anything interesting if you duplicate it. Mindslaver would be fun, I suppose. But I think this is also a B. Unless I find a lot of artifacts and lands with really cool activated abilities. Ancient Cornucopia, 3 mana. Whenever you cast a spell that's 1 or more colours, you may gain 1 life for each of that spell's colours. Do this only once each turn. Tap for 1 of any colour. So in Limited, it's probably going to be a mana rock for 3 mana. It's fixing. So it's not terrible. It's probably at least a B. It would allow you to hit it with the other one. I mean, then it's going to gain you 1 or maybe 2 life per turn in Limited. Oh, but it does trigger on your opponent's turn. So, at best in Limited, it's probably going to be like... I mean, it's probably going to be like... What, 2 life per turn? Maybe 3. Which isn't bad, now that I think about it. And it's a mana rock, so... Does it go into A tier? Maybe it does. I'm not confident though. I haven't played as much of this set because I mean I imagine it's probably been less. I feel like I would have expected the time between Karlov Manor and Thunder Junction probably to be similar to the time between Thunder Junction and Bloomburrow. It may not be. But of course, we're not having Bloomburrow, we're coming up on Modern Horizons. And also, I missed a few drafts because I didn't find this set amazingly interesting. What is this? So I haven't seen, a lot of these guys I haven't seen. 4 mana 5/5, okay. It's a 2 green for a 5/5 trampler. That everything from here to here, you can remove it from as long as there's no downsides. Okay, so it's 2 green for a 5/5 trampler. It's an A tier card. UTV, you get 2 foods. When it attacks, you can sack a food to mill 3 and put a permanent... Yeah, this card's S tier. I'm not splashing for it because it's double green. Right? Maybe I will take this back to splash. You can't... I mean, I don't tend to splash, like, ever. I do go into 3 colours sometimes. This is... an amazing card. It's S tier. Like, the 4 mana 5/5 trampler ETB makes you 2 foods is already pretty darn good. Basically, and then you can... and then it draws you 2 extra cards as well that you get to look... You get to kind of select what they are. Easily S tier. Loot Jason Vraska. Why has she got a whip? It's more of a lasso, maybe. Or just a rope. 4 mana enchantment. ETB, search your life for up to 5 land cards that have different names. Exile them, then shuffle. Now, in Commander, or any other constructed format, that's amazing. Because you can just, like... I mean, you can hit Command Tower, like 15 different... And then you've got all the different... fast... You know, because you've got all the, like... If you're in 2 colours, all the dual lands in your colour in the world. There are so many of them. So what is it? In Limited, you're going to hit your 2 basics, because you're probably playing 2 colours. Hey, we've got a base 64 image. 2 basics, and then if you've got, like, the desert in your 2 colours, maybe like a conduit pylons or something. So you'd probably be able to get 4 cards and then it just ramps you a bit. It's very slow because realistically you'll be playing this on turn 4, so it will give you an extra land on turn 5, you'll get an extra land, but it'll be tapped. So it'll give you 1 extra mana on turn 6, right? At the cost of all of your mana on turn 4, you pay 4 mana and don't do anything. Turn 4, you just do this, and it starts giving you lands on turn 6. I think it's a B in limited. If you build around it, 3 mana 1/1, ETB makes you a 3/3. Okay, this card's S tier. Is it splashed here? It's 3 mana for a 3/3 and a 1/1 as well. Okay, it's only each creature token you control, which puts it only at S tier. Because it puts it on the golem. Right, that's the important point. It's turn 3, bang, I have a 3/3 and a 1/1, whoop-de-doo. Turn 4, you go 2, tap this, put a +1/+1 counter on the golem, it gains trample till end of turn, and you swing with a 4/4 trampler on turn 4. And then assuming it doesn't die on turn 5, it's a 5/5 trampler. And if you can make other... this card is S tier, but I don't think it's splashed here because there are mercenary tokens. But I haven't, personally, in my drafts, I haven't actually seen... I played one person at the pre-release who was making a lot of mercenaries. But the other thing with mercenaries is if you could just pump them, you would, right? If I had this guy out, he's S tier, and I had mercenaries, I would be using them. I wouldn't be using them to give things +1/+0. Mercenary is a red creature token with tap. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 to the end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. It's a standard token for the set. I mean, I would be pumping them with this, just putting counters on them, but it's not splash because there isn't that much token generation. There is some, but 5 green, 7 mana 6/6. Trampler gains you 3 life and draws a card. When it dies, you get another one, and it has this card's S tier. I'm not splashing for it because it costs double green. Oh, loot, the key to everything. I got one of these at pre-release. I don't think it's very good. Right? So he's a 3 mana 1/2. He's not you should only be blocking with him as an absolute last resort. Right? Ward 1 is just a bit of protection. Leave your upkeep. X the top X cards you love. X the number of card types like other non-land permanents you control. You may play those cards this turn. Now, how many types is that going to be? You're probably going to have creature, and then maybe you'll have an enchantment and maybe an artifact. The card types that are available, obviously, are battle. I mean, what are the card types? Artifact, creature, instant, enchantment, sorcery, tribal or kindred, planeswalker, battle, land. It doesn't count lands, though. And of those, there are no battles in this set, nor are there any kindreds. Although I guess they would have been tribal. They've renamed tribal to kindred from Modern Horizons. I assume because tribal is actually there could be offensive, I guess, to some people. I mean, I say I guess. I can see why. I can see that it could cause offense, or not offense, but not be the great term to use. That's why I assume why they're doing it. Also, why I assume why they've renamed Totem Armor, because Totem has connotations, especially in a set that's there is some controversy about, like cowboys and Indians, that kind of Indian thing. They're not represented, which was because the entire stereotype is kind of culturally offensive. It's a racial stereotype. Basically, the entire thing, all the Indian thing is cowboys and Indians. It's nothing but a racial stereotype, really, isn't it? So he's probably going to get 2, maybe 3. And now that I think about it, he impulsive draws you like 2 cards a turn. And he is the guy in the vault, which does count. I mean, it just... I got him at pre-release. I didn't think very much of him. But thinking about it now, he impulsive draw... I mean, also, you only got 40 cards. But, like, impulsive drawing 3 cards per turn. I mean, 3 is because you've got creature, enchantment, and artifact. realistically, though, there are 3, I guess, planeswalkers in the set. Obviously, Oko, Thief of Crowns, is only in the breaking news. I don't know if he's more... Actually, he might be more common. But then there's Jace, Oko, and other Oko. But he's going to give you impulsive draw you 2 or 3 cards a turn. Or 1 to 3, so we'll say maybe 2. He might actually be Earth tier. The only thing is you do need to be playing 3 colours. But I think I might actually... I was genuinely going to put him in B tier, but now that I think about it, I was like, impulsive draws you 2 cards a turn. Yes. Impulsive drawing me 1 card a turn, which is like... If you don't have another creature out besides loot, you're in trouble, right? Impulsive drawing me 1 card per turn? Yeah, no, yes please. I play Outpost Siege in a deck, which is 3 in a red at the beginning of your upkeep, X on the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. I mean, sure, you could choose dragons and it does something, but you choose Khans. Because that cycle, it's a cycle of non-modal spells. Technically, they aren't actually modal. Pest Control. Destroy all non-land permanents with mana value 1 or less. I think it's a B tier card. I've seen it do pretty decent stuff. I think it's more of a constructed card. Obviously, it annihilates token decks because, for the most part, tokens all have mana value of 0. That's cycling, and it's only 2 mana. It is only 2 mana. It kills mercenaries, but... Oh, the other thing, actually. No, it's A tier, because if you think, well... If you're not making tokens, right? It only hits creatures, right? Oh, no, it hits non-land permanent. So it hits non-creature tokens, like clues or treasures. Treasures are in this set. I think clues are also in this set. And if nothing else, if someone makes like a really big plant, there's a card that like the Dance of the Tumbleweed, I think. That you'd make a really big plant. You could just pest control, and even if you only hit 1 thing with it. So I think it's A tier. It's not S tier. I think it's A tier. Is this a sword? Oh no, Lost Yitter? I don't know. This card's really good. I mean, it's a bit unfair that artifacts can't... I guess if it's a colorless card can't go in time to splash because you just can run it anyway. And it's it's combat damage. Doesn't have to do it to a player, which these things normally do. Untap a land, and also you can do this in instant speed multiple times a turn. So if it's got 3 counters on it, okay, that's 3 free mana because I can just untap my lands. Target creature can't block this turn. I mean, this card's S tier. Does it get an automatic splash tier? No, I'm not doing that. All S tier color. I did consider like all colorless. I don't want to save the image. I literally uploaded this image. Lotus Ring. I mean, it's clearly just a Black Lotus thing, right? Although it's actually just... I guess that makes sense. It's just the image in base 64. This page is loaded from another page. Thank you. 3 mana, equip 3. Creature gets +2/+3 in vigilance and is Black Lotus. But you don't, interestingly, you don't sacrifice the artifact. I mean, again, you could copy this with that 1 card. But, like, who cares? It would just be an equipment with equip 3. No, it wouldn't even be an equipment. It would be an artifact with equip 3. Right, yeah. This is... I think it's B tier because 3 mana and then the 3 mana equip. But for the +2/+3 in Vigilance and Black Lotus on it. But the problem is, I don't really want to sack my creatures to get mana. I think it's B tier because you'd need 6 mana to put it on a creature. Next is becoming 6 mana. Beginning of combat on your turn, draw a card. Okay. Then you may exile artifact creature from hand. If you do, you get a token that's a 3/3 golem. So it lets you draw a card, and then if you want, you can ditch something that you don't care about to make a 3/3. And when it says token, it's a copy. So you can pitch Nexus of Becoming to it, and then you'd get to do it twice. But you can pitch... If you pitched a flyer, you'd get a 3/3 flying golem. Right? It keeps all abilities. The only thing that gets changed is you add artifact to its types. It adds artifact creature golem to its type line, and its power and toughness gets overwritten to be 3/3. I don't know. I will check how that interacts with power and toughness setting abilities. Doesn't say. Just thinking if you had a card that had a characteristic, had an ability on it that defined its power and toughness, would that overwrite it? Because you might. I don't. My layering knowledge is a little bit weak. It's by which I mean I don't remember how very well. I don't know it really at all. I think this card is S tier. The only issue with it is that it is 6 mana. But at this point, turn 6, you pop this boy down. It's drawing you. I mean, even if you don't do any of them, it draws you a card, which is pretty good. And then you could just get free creatures. So yeah, this is an S tier card. There's the sword. +2/+2 impression means it's also. Whenever equip creatures as common to a player, create a treasure token. I think it's definitely A. Protection from instances from sorceries means you're gonna have to. It's gonna be awkward to remove it. I think it's A tier. Torpor Orb. This is a card that you play if you don't want people to have fun. The problem is it can really cause you problems. I think it's a B tier card. Font. Create your choice of a blood token, a clue token, or a food token. It's got pretty good art. Sacrifice 3 artifact tokens with different names. Oh, you can do it more than once. You know what? I think I need one of these for my artifact commander deck. I mean, it'd be annoying to have to get... I mean, having said that... You do it on turn 5, right? Immediately, and then you pass, and then you tap it, like, make a clue. Then you wouldn't be able to do it till turn 8. Is the problem with it. Unless you were making tokens through other means. In draft, I think it's a B? Maybe. It could be an A. For more Revolt, taps for colorless, 3 tap, discard a card, look at the top X cards, you have X number of artifacts you control. I should probably get one of these as well. But how many artifacts are you going to have in draft? I mean, it's fine. I mean, it might just be an A tier card. You have to discard a card, though. I think it's... There you go, just hide it. What's this? Tarnation Vista. That is some art. Okay, it's not a desert, but that's... I think probably because maybe they didn't have them in big score. There wasn't a thing. So if you're playing like two colours, which you probably are in draft, right? Let's suppose you're playing two colours. It's fixing because obviously if you're having trouble, you've only you only got one colour, one land. You can get this. I'll choose the other colour, right? And then also it's going to give you like 2 mana. It's just going to filter through and give you the colours. Is it A tier or is it just B tier? I think it's probably A because I think it's better than just like a dual land. It's a land of creature control. So if you cast it for X equals 0, it's 3 mana. Oh, you can just cast it for X equals 0 to flicker any number of creatures you control. Right? It's only a sorcery, so you can't use it to escape destruction or something. The point is, or to like get them out of combat. It does re-trigger ETBs. So if you did X equals 1, it would be 5 mana to flicker like any number of creatures twice. There are plenty of useful ETBs, which maybe I should put Torpor Orb higher up. These are all flipping mythics here. Arcane of Ties. 4 mana, 3/5 flyer. Okay, this card is S tier. We're not splashing for it because it's triple white. But like, as long as it's untapped, it's worse propaganda. And propaganda... Is it propaganda? Is it propaganda or the other one? The propaganda might be the blue one. That does this. And then when it attacks, they have to pay to block. This card is S tier. And it's a 3/5 flyer. It wins you games already. Armored Armadillo. What a boring card. Ward 1, the most fun mechanic. It's a slow cannonball with legs. It's 4 mana and then it becomes like a 4/4. Realistically, you're not double pumping it. Because you're not doing that until turn 8. And at that point, then it is an 8/4. Yes. I might be C. Because from turn 4 onwards, it's it becomes a 4/4. But you could also just play a 4/4. Plus, I wanted to put something in C. I'll be honest. Aven Interrupter. This card's A tier, might even be S tier. I mean, it's a 2/2 flyer for 3 mana with flash. I mean, obviously, the point is that... I mean, this is also pretty nice. It's good work. It does good stuff. Is it actually S tier? Or is it just A? Might just be A, actually. I mean, it's won me a game at least once. If your opponent were playing a plot-heavy deck, this would be very, very annoying. I think he... Well, I have an idea. Why did it disappear? I was going to try and apply some CSS rules. Yeah, I think it is S. Founding Faladar. I mean, it is 6 mana. But I think it's A tier because it puts +1/+1 counters on all of your creatures. Bovine Intervention. Destroy target artifact or creature for 2 mana at instant speed in white. They get a 2/2 white ox. Might only be B though. It's solid removal in white. But white is pretty good at removal. This card form, and you get a 1/1 white sheep when it attacks while saddled. Like, is that even worth it? I mean, it might be B. But it is 4 mana, is the other problem. It has vigilance. It's probably better than I give it credit for. I have played very little with Saddle. Very little. Like, I haven't really played any Saddle decks. I've played against them. I think it's probably better than I'm giving it credit for. Claim Jumper. This is really awkward to do, but it is a 3 mana 3/3 with vigilance. Is he A tier? It is a mercenary, which is somewhat relevant. Probably A tier in theory. It's just Dust Animus. Dust Animus, this card is really good. Like, really good. It's like a... Yes, it's 2+... 4/5 flyer with lifelink. Yes, please. For free. Or you play it on... You cast it on turn... You plot it on turn 2, and then on turn 3 you play it, and it's a 4/5 flyer with lifelink. Would you... I don't think I'd splash for it, though. Like this. Destroy target tap creature, you gain 2 life. White has no shortage of good removal. But it comes with a drawback, that one, so... I love Spree as a mechanic. Okay, this is quite nice. If you don't know how Spree works, you... Basically, it has modes. You choose one or more additional costs. So you can choose any number of the modes. You have to choose at least one, and you pay the cost for each of them plus the mana cost. And obviously, you do the modes in order if you choose more than one. So basically, you could cast it, give one of your creatures indestructible. So 2 mana saves something from a removal spell. That's not bad. 2 mana, all creatures lose all abilities at the end of turn. That's useful to stop tricks. Like, I don't know, if someone did something that you could do it to stop trample, to stop damage triggers, all sorts. But the most important, I mean, destroying all creatures. I mean, this is Commander. Let's be honest. This is for kind of Commander. Like I mean, it's a 6 mana board. It's a 6 mana instant speed board wipe. And if you pay 7 mana, you get to save one of your creatures. And if you paid the other thing you could do with this is you could say, oh, you got an indestructible creature. Not anymore. So I think this is probably S tier. Although my Commander play might be influencing that. Fortune, my promo card. It's a really janky card. Right? You're supposed to kind of flicker it to get ETB effects. Honestly, I mean, I wouldn't even play white. I'd say that I did get loot, so I wasn't really playing white. I think he's a B tier card. I'm probably underrating Saddle. Frontier Seeker. It's minor ramp for a 2-1. I think it's a B tier card. We haven't encountered any garbage yet. This card's good. It's an A tier removal spell. It's instant speed removal in white. Power creep. We haven't encountered any bad cards. Ooh, what is this? What a card. So you can sack it to do 5 damage, but like each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. You have to play it in the right deck. Obviously, it would be really good. I mean, I guess you're playing it in Boros. It would be really good against certain decks, like most notably anything that wants to cast more than 1 spell a turn. So if you had stuff you could do, because you can cast a spell during your turn and a spell during your opponent's turn, which is useful. But like against Izzet, it would be really good because the Izzet deck in this set is all about trying to play 2 spells. It's got a lot of stuff that cares about playing multiple spells in a single turn. Having said that, if your opponent's just like playing creatures, it doesn't do that much, other than having 5 mana to do 5 damage once. So I think it's B. Although it could be A. Oh, it's Holy Cow. This card's good. I think it might just be A. This card is just awkward. Right? You have to not cast a spell from your hand and then it gains flying. Because the point is you're supposed to... You can plot things, right? And then you're not casting them from your hand. I think he's C tier. Sued by the law. Oh, yeah, no, this is a great card. Look, it's white removal. It's expensive. It comes with... I mean, it gives you a mercenary, but it comes with the downside of being an Oblivion Ring effect and not like a Swords to Plowshares effect. Mystical Tether. Oh, hey, it's Banishing Light. It's literally Banishing Light. It's slightly cheaper than the Suit by the Law, but you can pay it for more and it costs Flash. But I think it's basically just the same card again. Nurturing Pixie. That, I don't know what that is you're carrying. Oh, it's a cactus. It's a cactus folk. It's a baby cactus folk with 6 arms and 2 legs. Single white for 1/1 flyer. ETB return. I mean, it's a 1/1 flyer. It's fine in limited. And you can have it be a 2/2. I think it's probably just B. I don't know what's hiding. What's causing them to disappear. What did I put where? I put that in B. Owenport Vigilante. So it's a bear that gets double strike as long as you commit a crime. Honestly, I haven't found I've found committing crimes to be really awkward. B. It's just the Vigilante, yeah. One last job. Send a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield for 5. Oh, but it's cheaper for a mount. I mean, yeah, I think that's an A tier card. It's 5 mana to return something. I guess we're doing all the white cards first, aren't we? Huh. I would have preferred it if there'd been like a random order, but oh well. Oh, this is a solid C tier card. Like, I mean, it might even be D tier. It does draw you. The lifelink is irrelevant. It does draw you a card. I think that's a C tier card. Saves you from being D. Prairie Dog. See, this has got a repeatable effect of getting stuff for not casting spells, but not casting spells isn't fun. That's the issue with these. Right, like I enjoy playing cards when I play my card games. I mean, it's a pretty decent effect. But I think it's only... I mean, you play it on turn 2, and then what do you do turn 3? You have to plot something. Right? Because it's not just a question of, oh, I can cast plotted cards without stopping it. No. The issue is, what do you do with your... Because obviously turn 2, you're casting this from your hand, is the idea. Then turn 3, what do you spend your mana on? Okay, maybe you've got, I don't know, holy cow, and you're going to flash it in. Okay, fair. Or, you might have something with flash. But if you don't have something with flash or plot that you want to do, because ideally you probably want to have a plan for turn 3. And, I was going to play a 3-drop. Well, then there goes this. So, which is why I don't like that as an archetype. I don't find it very fun, because it just encourages you not to do things on your turns. Yeah, it just kind of encourages not playing the game. It's a 4-mana 4/2. You get some mercenary. You can make it indestructible till end of turn, which is you're gonna be needing to do in order to save it from only having 2 toughness. And he's 4 mana. He's B tier. Requisition Raid. Yeah, 2 mana to make all my creatures bigger. Or, like, I can destroy an artifact enchantment, A. No, I wanted it at the end. Oh, yeah, this card's really good. Untap all of my creatures to block with? Yes, please. Shepherd of the Clouds. 5 mana. I mean, it's a flying vigilance, so it's probably just A tier. It'll close games. Let's be honest, it'll close games. Sheriff of Safe Passage. 2 and a white. Oh no, this card's very good, actually. Was it very good? It's A tier. You're plotting it on turn 4 and then doing... I guess it means you'd have stuff to do. And he's big. But he's only B tier. This is B tier. I mean, it's just kind of white removal. This is... It's only 1 mana. It's B tier. It's definitely not C tier. This card is C tier. It's 5 mana, right? For 4 power and 5 toughness, 3 power, for 4 power, 3 of which is on a flyer. It gets into, I think it scrapes by into B tier just because it's got flying. Huh. There you go, that's an image in base 64. I think this is probably still just B tier. This is again B tier. It's just. It's not A tier levels of being good. I think it's. Is that B tier or A? I'm in the white commons, is the thing. This is where we're in white commons. Because these seem to all be ordered by collector number. I'm pretty sure when I did murders, they were like in a random order, which was much more fun. I might see if I can randomize the sort by size. I put all the breaking news ones together. Yeah, I think maybe in the future I will sort them by file size before I upload them, because that would be much more interesting ordering for them rather than like collector number. Because the problem with this is that like I'm ranking all the white commons and they're all kind of I think it's B tier. It's not A tier. I don't know what I was thinking if I thought it might be A tier. This effect is always just annoying and it's way worse than you think. But I think it's B tier because in theory it's actually decent. Four mana 3/2 with flying with a death trigger that's kind of meh. It's also very large. That is a very large. I was gonna say it's a griffin, I guess. So it's quite big. Some of it's still only a 3/2. This guy is probably like a 2/2. He's 4 mana. I'm sorry, I'm not playing him. Oh, here we go. The blue rares. Oh, it's when he's Newt. But okay, so when it is coming out to a player, you get target instant or sorcery in your grave against flashbacks in any turn. It's a 2/2 and it has to hit a player. I think it's B because it has to hit them. Right? They just block it and then it dies. If it had, even if it had menace, it would be way better, but it just dies. It'll do it maybe once or twice. Like, it'll do it on turn 3, and then what are you gonna flashback? Right? But by the time you have stuff in your graveyard that you really want to flashback, it's just gonna die. Yeah, that is rare, is going straight into B tier. Canyon Crab. Again, not casting spells from your hand. The blue is a lot like the blue-red deck is supposed to plot stuff. And I guess you got Fibblethorpe in blue. The problem with this ability is it makes the creature not bad. Is the problem with it. I'd much rather have a 2 mana 2/3 than a 2 mana 0/5. Sure, you can do it twice and get a 4/1. You can even do it again and then it just dies, but. And then he gets to loot if you haven't cast a spell from your hand. I think it probably makes it into B just because it lets you loot. This card is bad. There's no way around it. It's bad. It's just bad. Right? It's got flash, but you can't flash it in as a blocker. So why does it even have flash? The only reason for it having flash, I guess... He's supposed to be fast. Why does he enter tapped? He should have haste. In blue. He should be red and have haste. No, he should be Izzet and then have flash and haste. Not that they particularly work together. In fact, they don't really combo at all. Unless you have a tap ability, but... It's like... Okay, turn 4. I'm going to play this 4/4 that's tapped. Whoop-de-doo. Or I could flash it in on your turn. But it's tapped, so it can't block. There we go, the first D tier card. It's an uncommon, I think. No, it's only a common. Island, why am I opening this? I mean, it's an island, right? I might put the basics in C. Just like all 5 of them. It's a basic. They're nothing exciting. They are fine. As lands go, they're fine. Right? Deep Muck Desperado. Whenever you commit a crime, each opponent mills 3 cards. This only triggers once each turn. Let's say you're probably going to have... I mean, you probably have to do like 7 times to mill... I would mill 21 cards. In limited. Right? Plus 7 cards for that opening hand is obviously 28. But then you'd need them to draw like 12 cards. So realistically, you're probably going to have to do like 8 or 9 times. Which is like 4 or 5 turns. And that's assuming it doesn't die to mill them out. Other than that, it's just a 3 mana 2/4. Like, I don't think you're going to get anybody with the mill, is what I'm saying. You're not going to mill anybody out. So the milling is not very relevant. Because mill only matters if you run out of cards. This card is not very good. But I've played it a lot because it is a form 3 flyer. But honestly, now that I look at it... I mean, it's effectively a form runner because you play it on turn 4, but then it can't attack until turn 6. But it is still a flyer. So I'm putting it in B just because I don't want to put a card in C and then realize how many times I've played it. Double down. Whenever you... Yes, this card is S tier. The only reason it's not splash tier is because it doesn't work on it in isolation. Outlaws are rogues, mercenaries, pirates, warlocks, and... I've forgotten one. Assassins. Assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks. So I had this for a couple of cards in Murders. This card doesn't do anything good on its own. You need... If you have outlaw spells, it's fantastic. Right? Double outlaw spell. That's amazing. If you don't, it does nothing. So it's S tier. You get this pack 1. You're going to play blue. And you're gonna play blue and something else and play outlaws, right? You're gonna be playing outlaws. That's your deck. But if you get it late, you can't just take it. Oh, I'm in blue because then you have to look through your cards and say, I've got like 4 outlaws. This card's gonna do nothing. Duelist of the Mind. Wait, that's actually... Sorry, that's 28. Yeah, okay. Nathan Stoyer. World Champion 28. He's got Flying and Vigilance. He'll be a 1-3 on your turn. I think he's only A tier, just because he needs backing. The backing isn't that hard, right? Committing crimes or just drawing cards, but he does need backing, and if he has backing, he's still not fantastic. See, the problem with this is that it's like, you can surveil one, which is fine. Okay, sure, whatever. Again, you have to not cast a spell from your hand, so you have to spend your turn doing something that isn't casting a spell from your hand. And then it becomes a 3-3 flyer, which it's realistic. I mean, I guess it's not going to be able to attack until a turn 4. Because you play it turn 2. I guess turn 3 you could surveil one, but then it becomes a 3-3 at the end of turn 3. Because most likely you're casting this from your hand. I feel like I've probably played it, so I'm going to put it in B. Well, not so, that's not why I'm putting it in B, I'm just saying. Failed forwarding. Return target on opponent's owner's hand if you desert surveil one. I mean, it's just blue removal. It's unsummoned, but they're not going to print unsummon. It's not quite unsummoned, but they're not print. I don't think unsummon is in the breaking news. Fubblefup. I have one of him. I think this card is fantastic. I cast him once in draft and looked at the top card of my library. It was an island, and then he had to chump block and he died. I mean, even flipping being able to look at the top card of your library is pretty good. But being able to play cards from your library is so powerful. I think this card's S tier. As I said, I never actually played with him. Because you get Fubblefup, and then the dream is you just go like, well, if I don't like, basically I've got an extra card in hand that refills itself, because I'll just plot this card from the top of my library. Because one of the kind of the throttles late game, when you have a lot of mana up often, but you're like, I don't have that many cards in hand, so you've got to either cast spells, you've got to either play things that draw you cards, or maybe if you've got expensive stuff. But if you've got a bunch of cheap stuff, you're like, well, you run out of cards, and then if you don't have, whereas this guy, you'd be like, well, I don't care if I've run out of cards because I can just keep doing, right? There's no limit, because you're like, well, top card, I'll just plot this top card in my library, I'll just plot this other top card in my library. I think he's S tier. He deserves it anyway. He's S tier. Fleeting Reflection. It's B tier. I mean, you can make it become a copy of something very spicy, but I think it's only B tier. Because that's kind of situational. It does untap it as well, but it's not A tier. Like, look, it's not A tier. Just deleting these nodes. Geralt. I don't know if it's Geralt, but I just like Geralt because it's like Geralt of Rivia. 3 mana 2/2. When you cast spell during your turn, other than your first spell, you get a 2/2 blue and black zombie. And then he gets. Yeah, no, this card sees I'm splashing. I should go and find Geezer and put her next to her. Put her next to him. Geezer Drake. As long as it's not your. This card's actually surprisingly decent. I think it's B. Yeah, we will get. Don't worry, we will get at least one card in the E tier. There's a card that I know is in E tier. Harrier Strix. This card is probably a C tier card. I've never tapped anything useful with it. It always just ends up being, I guess, turn 1, I'll play a Harrow Strix and tap your land that you've already tapped or something. Or like, I'll tap my land, because why the hell not? I've got to tap something. It's a C tier card. Three mana to target after creature's owner puts on one in their library. At sorcery speed. At sorcery speed? It's artifacts. It's really 4 mana or for 6. I can count 6 mana to do both, but it's a sorcery. Maybe it's B. I was tempted to put in C. Oh boy, the key to the vault. Yeah, this card's. I mean, you have to look at that many, and then you get to pick one and cast it for free. It's definitely S tier. I'm not sure I'm splashing for it, but I think I probably am. I have one. Lone Shark. This guy gets like honorary splash tier just because of the flavor. It's honestly B tier. It's fine. Although fine, it's fine. It's kind of C tier. But this is not worse than what I put worse cards in B tier, so I guess it has to go in B tier. Marauding Sphinx. It's a 3/5 with Flying Vigilance and Ward 2. It's not A tier. Like, really, it's not A tier. I don't know if I can just add rules. How do you make style scripts? Look at where you put them. Does that work? It does. I assume that that stays there. Yeah, so with any luck, that'll cause any iframes that get rendered to have size 0. I think I broke the JavaScript by doing that. It does not like it. Oh well. This is what happens when you're a web developer. Where did I put that card? End of turn, target creature becomes a white rabbit. I mean, it's 2 mana, target creature becomes a 0/1. And then you could pay like 3 more and draw 2 cards. It's solid blue removal. I think I'm putting it in C. I need to be more ruthless and put things in C when they're not very good. This is fine. This is not a C tier card. I think it's B tier. Pillar's Rope Master. 5 mana 4/4 ETB. You can bounce a tapped creature. It's 5 mana. Phantom Interference. This card's good. It's a counter spell. Like 2 mana. The early game 2 mana counter unless they pay 2s. Yeah. And 5 mana to make a 2/2 as well. I think this is an A tier blue spell. Plan the Heist. Surveil. So it draws you 3 cards if you have no cards in hand. And I guess you. Wait. We got Annie, Oko, Vraska, Rakdos. I guess that's Kellen. And that's Tiny Bones. I don't know where Breach's Malcolm are. And Geralf and Gisa and the other 2. And then the others that probably some more as well that I've forgotten. I mean, it draws. So, like, 4 mana draw 3 cards is bad, especially at sorcery speed. It's not terrible. You can surveil 3 first if you have nothing else. You can plot it on turn 4. I think it's B tier, honestly. It's just. If you're playing the right deck, that's. Caesar Secrets. Draw 2 cards. I mean, it's like 2 mana, draw 2 cards at sorcery speed if you committed a crime. Oh, there's Ariat. I think. I love the implication here that he's actually, like, it's not unusual for him to actually get them. Can you imagine he just throws a pair of handcuffs and they just get some on someone's wrists? Pretty cool. So you could, like, cast your second spell, you get to tap a creature. He probably makes it into B tier. This card, I don't know if it's good. It's so weird. I think it's probably alright. ETP, you could give something flashback. Yeah, see this, unlike that other one that gave something flashback, you can cast this and then give something flashback. Or you can plot it and you can plot it on turn 3 or something. Because that means that you don't want to be wasting. You don't. And the other thing with plot is you can spend the mana on the. You can plot it and then you can cast it for free, right? With plot. At which point, and you can then then you have all your mana up for the flashback, and you can plot it plot it turn 3 when you don't necessarily need to do something, and then late game when you need the big spell back, you can cast this because you can just leave it plotted, and obviously you can cast it in your pre-combat main, and then if you gave an instant flashback, you could flashback. You'd be able to flash the instant back at instant speed. So I think this might... Honestly, I think this is an A tier card. Big Shot Vault Buster gets +2/+0 as long as you committed a crime this turn. So it goes from being a 3 mana 1/4 with Vigilance to being a 3 mana 3/4 with Vigilance. If you've committed a crime. Which is probably just about B tier. Just because a 3 mana 3/4 with Vigilance. Is the 3 mana 3/4 with Vigilance and no other effects B tier? No. I don't think so. Oh, this card. I've got a great story. There's a card that is in here, Mindslaver. 6 mana artifact. It has 4 tap sack. You control target player during that player's next turn. I did that in a commander game. Mindslavered somebody, and they had this in hand. So I said, I'm gonna cast Step Between. You're gonna cast Step Between Worlds, and then everybody else gets to wheel, but you don't. Right? They had no other cards in. No, actually, I cast one spell, and then one of the other players was like, "Oh, mana tithe it," and then you don't pay. But like, I was like, I'm gonna choose to have you cast this wheel spell and then not wheel yourself. I mean, it's a wheel that you can plot and then cast when you need it later for free. And obviously, the way you do wheels is you do it when your opponent has lots of stuff and you don't. You play out your hand and then you wheel, and it's just draw 7 cards. And you shuffle your graveyard back in. Okay, now I can click on them at the top of the screen. As I said, this is what happens when you're a web developer. I just open the code developer console and start messing with things. Because that, the developer console. It's a 4 mana 5/3 flyer with flash. It's A tier. What else is there to say? It's a 4 mana 5/3 flyer with flash. It's flash. It's a blue removal spell with flash. That's long term. And it's a common as well. I mean, it is 4 mana. But I think that scrapes into A tier. I actually quite like it. Take the 4. This card is bad. I'm saying it. It's bad. I don't think it's D tier level. Is it D? What is this? I mean, it's 1 mana. It's not D tier. Maybe this is power. This town ain't big enough. So it's 2 mana, bounce your own thing and bounce their thing? Or 5 mana, bounce 2 of their things? I've never really used it. I'm putting it in C. 3 steps ahead, counter target, 3 mana. I mean, it's 1 blue counter target. It's cancel with upside. It's pretty nice. Probably A tier. Sarge Bandit. I mean, it stays a rogue, which is kind of relevant. It is also expensive. Ooh, we're into black. 6 mana, 6/2 with flat. I mean, it does give a creature -2/2 till end of turn, which is probably worth like 1 or 2 mana. If we said it's worth 1 mana, right? For this, to give a creature -2. I mean, Doomblade, right? Destroy target non-black creature at instant speed is 2 mana. Murder, destroy target creature is 3 mana, 1 black. So I think 1 mana for -2/2 is probably fair. I mean, it might be probably a little on the power, but what 2 mana from target creature gets -2/2 to end turn is not very good, I don't think. Because if you think about what you could be getting instead for 2 mana, especially in black, which is kind of the king of direct creature removal. Direct creature destruction, anyway. So if we said, okay, we'll knock off like 1 mana. It's 5 mana for a 6/2 with flash. It's not a particularly brilliant blocker. And it's 6 mana. So by the time you can afford it, there isn't going to be anything to hit with the 2/2. -2/2, right? Like 2 mana target creature, 1 mana instant target creature your opponent controls gets -2/2 to end turn. It's not terrible. I mean, it might actually be pretty good. But you'd be doing it to kill small stuff, not the sort of stuff that's going to be around when you've got enough mana to fork out 6 mana for that. Is it bad? Is it bad, though? You know what? I think it is. Just because I want to put cards in D tier. Now, this is obviously a very set-specific card. So obviously the idea is you can make them discard a card, or you can get rid of plotted cards. So in this, I mean, if it were in Murders at Call of Mana, it would not be very. I mean, this would be useless. This part, it would just be Duress or something, but more expensive. I never play with those effects though. I think it's probably pretty decent. So if a creature died, then it's 3 mana for a 3/2 flyer, which is fine. But then you need something to die, right? So if you plot it, they know it's there. So I think it's probably just C tier. Because you can't surprise them with the morbid effect if it's plotted. Whenever you commit a crime, terminate. And then it has an inbuilt way to commit crimes. I think it's probably B tier. Yeah, I should know. We're not doing the Commander decks. I do play Commander, but I don't buy Commander decks. Bone your Desecrator. I mean, yeah, it's probably. I mean, it's a 4 mana 3/4 menace. It'd be better if it were 4/3 menace, but. And you can sack creatures to make it bigger. Caustic Bronco. It's a snake. I'm putting this in S just because this art is so good. This card is going in Splash. It's this card. It draws you a card when it attacks. And if you saddle it, it also burns your opponent. And it's a snake horse mount. And look at that art. It's a snake horse with a saddle. Brent Hollowell, you did a good job. I'm putting this in Splash. It gets a bonus for having such great art. I mean, it's 4 mana for an instant speed exile. There's so many cards that do that. Desert's Dew. I'm putting this in B. See, there you go. This is 2 mana instant. Target gets -2/2 end of turn. With upside. I mean, most of the time you're probably gonna have like 1 or 2, 1 desert, maybe 2. which makes it pretty sweet. 2 mana, 4/4/4. Murder is in this set though. This card. I mean, he has lifelink. Talking about mills 2 cards. He's got lifelink. It puts him into B tier. Otherwise, he'd beat C. Faker and Death. There's Tiny Bones. It's one of those. I mean, there's what it's fungal. It's Fungal Fortitude. Sacred Miner. It's a 1 mana 2/2. Can't block and you can reanimate it. It's a pretty good card, actually. Is that Gisa? She gives skeletons and zombies menace and +1/+1, and you just make these things. And she has an incredibly crippling 2 and pay 2 life. Yeah. Oh wait. However, she's double black. She's only S tier because I'm not splashing black. Well, actually, you know what? No. I don't think I am. Going to the... This is one of those effects that's surprisingly not very good in draft. Just because he's always going to be cripplingly expensive. Because you're just never going to have the creature cards. I mean, this I find. Unless you actually build the deck around it. But this deck doesn't have... I feel like this set isn't really a putting creatures in your graveyard set. If you were a bit cheaper, it'd be much better. Okay, so it's 3 mana, search your library card, put that card on top. 5 mana. I mean, it's flipping 3 mana, draw 3 cards in black. And you can also tutor one of them if you pay an extra couple of mana. What does he do? He's on he's in the high score as well. Whenever you commit a crime, exile to one target black card with it and copy it. You may cast a copy if you use 2 life. I mean, I'm not splashing for him. He's not that good anyway. I don't think he's... Wait, he might be S tier. No, I think he's only A tier. If you didn't exile it. Lively Dirge, what a name. Now rip your partner from the grave and form an undead killing wave. Great flavor text as well. The amount of only 4 is actually quite a lot. I mean, it's 2 mana and returning things to your hand is just so slow. It doesn't make you a mercenary. Each target putting throws you -1/-1. The thing is, -1/-1 sentence is just so weak, I find. They don't kill anything. It might make it makes it to B just because it would be you do it as a combat trick just to get you that extra point of damage. Like they plot out their blockers and then you're like, oh actually I win all the trades or something. This is a C tier card. It's the sort of card that you play anyway to fill out your curve, but it is a C tier card. This is probably also a C tier card. Just because he only gains indestructible during your own turn. And he's expensive. I'm not quite sure what that art is. And I'm not sure if it's good. You can sack lands to it, is the thing, actually, thinking about it. You can pitch lands to this. Is it good? Maybe. Maybe. No. I don't think it is. I think it's only B. I don't think it's that good. Rakish crew. This art is inconsistent. They look weird. Yeah, we've got Rakdos, Vraska, Oko. I think that's Kellet then. And is that Annie? I thought Annie Flash was. I don't know. And there's Tiny Bones. ETB. I mean, it's a different artist. The art style's not quite the same as the other one that had all of them in it. ETB, you get a mercenary. Oh, it's this card. I have had it be kind of annoying against me. I just keep bouncing it or something. Is this the card with the really, really long hair that makes me wonder where the Gorgons have to like get like does their hair keep growing? Because like a haircut would be a painful experience. It would not be a pleasant experience, right? So why does she have so? What? My question is, why is her snake hair so long? Like Vraska's isn't anywhere near that long. Which suggests that they don't keep growing for their whole life, like human hair does, right? It keeps growing until you get old enough that it kind of starts falling out, I guess. But then it might just keep growing until it stops growing entirely and you go bald, I guess. But like this seems to be going all the way down because she's not as like a naga or whatever, like a snake person. But the fact that Vraskas aren't that long suggests that they don't keep growing. So why are hers so long? Maybe you talk to the snakes and say, "Can you stop growing any longer?" Do they shed their skin? You know, it's so many questions. Is this card good? Probably. That's the important question. I mean, is that the important question, or is the important question to try and work out how Gorgon's snake hair works? This card's probably really good in Commander. Maybe not, actually. Make sure. Okay. I think it probably is a B tier card. Rooftop Assassin. I mean, he's a 4 mana. He's 4 mana. Although I guess he's 2 mana. For a 2/2 flyer with flash and lifelink. And you can just not do this if you really wanted to. And because he's got flash, it would be like, oh, your creature gets into combat, flash in this guy. He has flash. Actually very important. If he didn't have flash, you would have to, basically the only workable way to do it would be burn spells, I guess, or like attack, hope they block with the thing that you want to kill, and then cast this. Whereas the flash obviously means that they attack me with like a 6/6, I can chump block it with a 1/1 and then cast this guy to kill it. You could hit them with desert. You could hit the card with the creature with desert, and then I think this card's. He's a common as well, which means we feel bad for. Yeah, actually no, because it's an awkward removal effect. S tier, just because this is such a hilarious card. It gets to go in S tier just for being dumb. It's probably not that good, but it's silly. That is some art. It has to do combat damage to a player, but of course, it has Death Touch, which is a pseudo evasion effect, right? Because you're like, oh, they don't want to they don't want it to hit them, because then they get to flipping. It's not even Demonic Tutor. It's just. Is it Demonic Tutor? Windows Gatherer? Gonna work? There we go. Which one is Demonic? Vampiric Tutor, I think, puts it on top. Yeah, it's just Demonic. It is just Demonic Tutor. They don't want you to Demonic Tutor, but if they do block, they basically just they lose whatever they block with. So I think it probably goes into B tier. Maybe even A tier, because it can. But the thing is, it probably just dies, right? A good player, right, would say, you know what? I mean, you could like. Oh, but you could instant speed commit a crime. But like, I would say, right, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'll block it with my 3/3 because I have to kill it. Because if it dies, you don't get anything. Shoot the sheriff. Destroy a target non-outlaw creature. I don't know what proportion of the set is outlaws. But this is probably just... I'm going to put it in B tier. Just because there will be some decks where it won't help. Right? If someone's playing mounts, then yeah, it's just 2 mana destroy target creature. If you come up against someone playing outlaws, it's 2 mana kill your own thing, maybe? Unless you're also playing outlaws. Tiny Bones joins up. ETB, any number of target players each discard a card. How good? I mean, it's 1 mana, and if you're playing a lot of legendaries, which there are a fair number, because there are a lot of named kind of characters in this. But I think he's maybe only B tier. But it is 1 mana, like turn 1 your opponent discards a card, and then it will give you a couple of these. I think I'm putting it in B tier. In a constructed format, when you can guarantee you have a decent number of legendaries, it could be very, very good. But I don't think he's that brilliant in draft. Now, Tiny Bones himself. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he is... Wait, shouldn't he come back from the grave? This is the thing, right? He has Death Touch, so they don't want to block it, because if they block it, they lose their creature. But if they don't, you get to cast a card from their graveyard. I think I would probably splash for him. So far, Gisa is the only member of the crew who is not in splash tier. I think most of them are multicolored. Treasure Dredger. I mean, no. I'm not playing this card. I'll be honest. I don't think this is a good card. You have to pay 1 mana and a life to make a treasure. You're going to do it once per turn. Like, what is the point of this? You're going to do this a few times so you can cast the big... It's not ramp. And this is an uncommon. I think it's D. I'm putting it in D. I'm putting it in D tier. 4 mana destroy target creature. It's not very good. Murder's in this set. What is this card? Like, it's murder, but worse. It's murder or get a mercenary with this. What? I think it's... Like, the mercenary's useless. 2 mana for a 1/1 red. Like I don't want the mercenary. Is it a sorcerer or an instant? It is an instant. I don't want the mercenary. It's just like bad murder. I think it gets into C just because it's slightly versatile, but I don't think it's very good. So worst case scenario, it's 3 mana, draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, which isn't very good. But you could plot it first, and you could sack garbage. As I said, worst case scenario. Yeah. I need a find here. Like this random legendary vampire. Badman, New Blood. So if you I think he's probably A tier because I mean if I got one I'd be building a deck around it. Like if I drafted one I'd be trying to draft Black Crimes. Wait, hang on a second. Didn't we already I thought I already did shoot the sheriff. I'm like 90% certain I already ranked shoot the sheriff. I was like, eh. Because maybe I accidentally put it back down there. Vault Plunderer. So it's 3 mana for a 3/1 ETB, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Because you're targeting yourself. Outside of niche scenarios, but you're almost always going to be targeting yourself with it. I guess you could commit a crime by hitting your opponent. But the thing is, right? Think about it like this. You draw a card, so it replaces itself. But what if, instead of running this card, you ran something better? Then you wouldn't need to lose the life. Right? It draws me... So the it's like, I want to draw something better. But what if you just replace this card with a better card? I honestly think it's C tier. I'd rather have a card in hand that I know what it does than have a bad card that draws me something that I don't know. Sure, it's a body, but it isn't a very good one. So, Brimstone Rounder. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you get a mercenary. For 2 mana. But red is like it. Red likes the second spell, and it's in the Izet archetype. Having said that, this is probably a... And you need to plot, or just like you plot stuff. C? I honestly am considering C. This guy is A tier, S tier. Calamity Galley, this card's amazing. It's got haste and saddle 1. It's amazing. It's a great card. And it's a flaming horse. But I'm not splashing because he's double red. Caught in the Crossfire. This card's actually pretty darn good. Obviously, you can 4 mana, 2 damage to every creature. But like 3 mana to just like shock all your opponent's creatures. And if they're playing Outlaws, you can still shock all of their creatures. It's pretty B only because it goes downhill very fast. This is the Coyote. This is the Wily Coyote. It doesn't get in splash tier, but it is very good, actually. And the plot, honestly, I think he's A tier. He's definitely A tier. It's Wily Coyote. And we need to find the road. Where's the Roadrunner? There's the Roadrunner. We do the Roadrunner next. So this is the Roadrunner. Protection from coyotes. I don't know. I honestly, I kind of feel the coyote might be better than the Roadrunner. Also, it's very fat. I don't remember the Roadrunner being that fat. It had very long legs. Like, this 3-mana Gingerbrute ability, I think, is what it's called. The protection from coyotes does nothing. Having said that, I have actually had it come into play and be relevant. I have played the coyote against the Roadrunner. The other thing is the coyote has an ETB effect. It gives a creature +2/+1 and haste turn to turn. Plus another turn creature control gets +1/+1 and haste turn to turn. If you have this out, you can't buff it with the coyote. Because this has protection from coyotes. Protection from coyotes is irrelevant. The evasion is kind of useful sometimes. I'm saying, I think the coyote is better than the Roadrunner. Dead-Eye Duelist. 2-mana 1/3 with reach deals 1 damage to each opponent for 1. No. This card's really good. Like, actually very good. I'm putting it in A tier. This card's actually really good. You could plot it on turn 1. And then, like, then you just have, like, because you're not doing anything else on turn 1. Just plot this Demonic Ruckus. Play a creature. Oh, wait, now it's got Menace, Trample, and he's big. This card's very good. What's happening there is that I'm scrolling while holding down mouse 1, but I'm actually pressing mouse 3, which opens that and drops the card. Discerning Peddler. You can rummage. It's a bear that lets you rummage when it enters. Supposed to derailment. Bombs and trains and sabotage. He always speaks in block capitals. Breaches, I guess. I mean, 3 mana to full 4 damage. That's actually pretty good. Might even be A tier. Oh yeah, this card's amazing. You need to have another tier between A and B or something. Impulsive draws, but the thing I feel like it dies. It's slightly less impulsive than a normal impulsive draw. I think it's probably fine. Probably pretty decent. Pretty decent. Great Train Heist. Obviously, you could do multiple things. And you can make a whole bunch of treasure. I think it's probably A tier. Hell to Pay. This is not actually very good. It's scalable red removal. Only hits creatures. So it's sorcery speed. The affinity is always broken. You need to be playing Outlaws, but you don't need to be playing that many. Like, even if you're not playing any at all, 5 mana 5/4 with Trample is okay. If you've got one Outlaw out, he's a 4 mana 5/4 with Trample. And now, you know, if you've got 2 out, a 3 mana 5/4 with Trample, yeah, it's pretty good. I think he's probably A tier. He's a lower A tier, a lower end of A tier, like Coyote levels, and not like some of the better ones. Hillspur Posse Boss, a lizard rogue. Outlaws you control have haste. ETB you get 2 mercenaries, and of course these mercenaries have haste. If he feels more like he's a constructed card, but he does make 2 mercenaries. I think he's probably A tier, but he's not S tier. This card is probably B tier. I have sacked a land to it. You can also choose to do nothing. It's the Wolverine. Realistically, you have to plot it, but I think it's B. Because if you cast it, you don't have mana to play the card you exile. He's 5 mana. He's too expensive. I mean, he does do 2 damage, but he's 5 mana and you have to cast a second spell. He does have reach. He's not quite D tier. That is a card. Smart. This card's bad. You could plot it on turn 4. I mean, you could... It's bad for weird reasons. If you got rid of this on the plot, 3 mana, 3/3 with reach, it would be a very solid C tier card. But the problem is, 4 mana, you're like 4 mana to shock something, and then you can get your 3/3 with reach out on turn 5, which is just kind of sad. But the fact that it has this means that you don't want to play it on turn 3, because it feels wrong to use it as to not shock something, right? But that isn't really a good reasoning. I don't think the turn 4 shock something. This is... You need to commit crimes, right? Sack 3 treasures, you get a 4/4 red scorpion dragon with haste and flying. Would I splash? We're going to call it extra colour to kind of encapsulate what it actually means. And I think I probably... I mean, she does it on her own. No, actually she doesn't. Because you need to commit crimes, and she doesn't commit crimes herself. Whereas Luke just draws you cards. Geralt just requires you to cast spells. This thing is just amazing. What did this do? It's a snake horse. And when it attacks, it flipping does amazing stuff. Same with Tiny Bones. She actually goes down to C. Because you do need some other way of committing crimes. Because otherwise she's just a 2/2. Which is not very exciting. She's just a bear. Mage, Bane, Lizard. I mean, I'll be honest, I've burned myself more than I've burned my opponent with this. But if you're playing a creature heavy deck in red, it is red. Red, I believe red is the colour with the second most Izzes and Sorceries behind blue. So I think, because if you're in red, you probably are going to... I mean, if you're playing Gruul, you might just be playing poop creatures onto the board. That's kind of the Gruul thing, is just creatures. But Rakdos is not. Red's got a lot of non-creature stuff. I think it's C tier. When I played it, he didn't do anything. This card is probably fine. So I guess I should put it in C tier and stop putting fine cards in B tier. It's a decent effect. It's a board-wide buff. Prickly Pear. It annoys me that one of them's a 2/2 and the other one's only a 1/1. I mean, it's 3 mana for 3/3 across 2 bodies. Which, when you put it like that, is probably a C tier, but... Quick Draw. It's not as good as it seems. But +1/+1 and first strike will win you combats. I would not want to ride a porcupine. It's just, like, would you really want to ride on the back of a porcupine? You're just going to get poked and stabbed. Although I guess he could just, like, charge and stab people. It's also very annoying. I mean, it is for... as I said, I haven't really played Saddle. So I don't know exactly how good it is. I've played a lot of Plot. Played a bunch of Spree. I really like Spree as a mechanic. It's my favourite mechanic from this set. Plot. I kind of prefer Morph or Disguise. Just because when you morph something, you get a body, you get an immediate reward. Whereas with Plot, you don't. And everyone knows it's there. I think he's probably pretty decent. Reckless Lackey. This is one of those cards. It's actually not very good. But you just play it because it's a 1 mana with 1 mana 1/2 with haste. And then you can pay, and then it just ends up not doing anything. But it is a C tier card. The first strike scrapes it into C along with having an effect of sacking something. Oh, but of course, if they like cast a spell, you can choose. You can pay 4 mana, copy it, and then also change the targets in the original. So I think that's probably an A tier card. No, it's B tier because it needs them to do something that you like. It needs proper timing. Well, no, because it's basically a counter spell for some stuff. It's a counter spell for many things. It only hits instant sorceries, but it hits activated or triggered abilities as well. Yeah, no, that's A tier because it's basically like a kind of almost like a counter spell in mono red. I think this card's good. I think. So putting it in B. I think I just copied an image link as well. He's B because you do actually need to have a little bit of support for him. And they do 3/1s, they don't have haste. Nor are they tapped and attacking. 5 damage target creature for 2. I mean, 2 mana for 5 damage. It's only at sorcery speed. B because it's only at sorcery speed. Slick shot, show off. It's got prowess, but it's not prowess, but it's kind of like prowess. It's a bird wizard. And it's got flying and haste. I don't know why you're plotting it. Like, I actually don't know why you're plotting it. You could plot it on turn 2 and then swing for 1 in the air on turn 3. I guess you could plot it... The thing is, though, right? you could plot it on turn 2, then cast it on turn 3 and swing for 1 in the air. And then you'd have mana up to cast a non-creature spell, so then you'd be able to swing for 3 in the air, I guess. But you could also just cast it on turn 2, swing for 1 in the air, then cast the same spell on turn 3, and swing for 3 in the air, and that's 1 additional damage. Wait, did it gain? No. Just gets +2/+0. But I think it's still A tier, just because it's got haste, and you can buff it. So, and it's got flying, so it's good late game. But I'm not really sure why you would ever... I'm not sure why you would plot it. -1/-1 for each card in your hand. I love it. Is it good? I think it's probably A tier, because he's a 7/7 flyer with trample. And I guess plot, you plot it. I mean, it's a 4 mana 7/7 with flying and trample. But I guess if you did it on turn 4, I mean, it would be smaller. And I guess you could plot it. And then I think it's A tier. And I think it's S tier. Just because there could be situations, because you obviously want to have cards in your hand. Take for a ride as Flash. Terror of the Peaks. What does this do? It's got Uber Ward 3. They have to pay. This card's amazing. Just Thunder Salvo. This is surprisingly not actually that good. It's 5 mana. I'm putting it in C purely because if you get it off at 6 damage is rather a lot. Is it to any target? No, target creature. See, this is an example of a plot effect that you actually care about. He's a 2 mana 3/2 with trample. And then you could just... Yeah, no, this is like an A tier card. Ankle Biter. Oh, the 1 mana 1 with Death Touch. See here, right? You could play it as a 3 mana 3/3 on turn 3, or you could plot it on turn 2, and then you could cast it on turn 3 if you needed to, right? But you just wait a bit. So I think it's a B tier card. Trail at the Vault. That's Kellen. Oko and Raska. Oh, it's an instant. I mean, it's like Clear Shot. But, like, it is 6 mana. But it is also double removal at instant speed in green. So I think it's A. But I'm not... This is why I need something, because it's better than B. But there are a lot of... It's not as good as A tier. Yeah, this is the thing. It's like it's a 2 mana 3/3 that gets... Right? If you cast it on turn 2, it'll be a blocker. But then, by the time you've got big enough stuff for it not to have Defender, the fact that it's only 2 mana is not going to be much of a benefit. Twisty Bill. What does he do? Oh, yes. No, yeah. But the thing is, this is a great example of an extra color. Even though this is double green, you only need one green to cast him, and like he's amazing because double the number of plus and plus counters on each creature you control. Normally, you'd think, that needs a way to get the counters on, which it does. That's what this is. He already puts the counters on, and then you can double them. Oh, is this correct? This is Cactarantula. Oh no, this isn't the really good one. It's just the 5 mana 6/5 with reach. This is B tier. It's not the broken one that has flash or something. There, this one. The flipping. Why is this for 4 mana 6/5 with trample and upside? This is probably an S tier card. It's a 4 mana 6/5 with trample that has flash sometimes. Dance of the Tumbleweeds. Yeah, so this makes a token. 3 mana ramp, and it makes you big stuff. And importantly, you actually get the land before this checks for X. Is it A tier? It looks like it's got legs. It might actually have legs. That might be intentional. I think it's definitely B. I mean, it's 6 mana, right? And then if you say it had 6 lands, it would give you an extra land and then a 7/7. I need another tier here. I mean, maybe she's doing fine, good, amazing, extra color. Extra color, amazing, good, fine. Or good. I don't know, great, good, fine, bad, unplayable. It gives all of your creatures trample when you saddle it. See, this is good. Yeah, I think maybe we'll do that in the future. We'll have extra color, amazing, great, and then B will be split into good and fine. C will be D is bad, and E is unplayable. But I'm not going to change things now. So this is a 3 mana 3/3, or it is you plot it on turn 4 and then it's a 5/5 on turn 4. You play it as a 5/5 on turn 5. Again, I think it's fine. Because that way, my first thought is this good? This is good. This is fine. This is great. Or this is amazing. And then it's just that whenever anything goes into S tier, I have to think about whether it should actually go into extra color. We went through 3 reach. And it ramps. Yeah. See, that's pretty good, but it's probably... I'm having trouble kind of differentiating. Yeah, I definitely do. Full steam ahead. Don't get me started on this train. I've had many discussions with one of the people with whom I play. On Wednesdays I play Commander with him. fairly regularly. He's usually there, and we often play with it together. And he often comes to the draft on Fridays. We've had several discussions about this train. Each creature gains anti-menace, +2/+2, and trample. Yeah. Giant beaver. Sure. Why does it have vigilance? So of course, because it's a beaver. I think it's I fully admit that I think I'm probably not doing a great job of rating the cards as saddle. I have not. I haven't really done any saddling. It's probably better than I think that I've been giving it credit for. I mean, it's a treasure, right? And a creature you control gets +2/+2 till end of turn. An instant speed. Because you have a treasure. You have the treasure when it checks how many treasures you have. Goldvein Hydra. I passed this card in draft. I should not have done. The other card in the pack that I took, the card that I took over it, was this card, which is nowhere near as good. This card sucks. But I was like, I wanted to take the desert. I wasn't in green. Maybe I would have been if I'd taken this. This card is, I feel bad putting it in third color when I didn't go into a third color when I found one. It was like pack 2. What was I thinking? I took desert over Goldvein Hydra when I was in pack 2 and I could have just gone into green. It would have been glorious. It's a great card. Is it fine? I mean, it's a mana dork, which is fine, I guess. So, yeah. I dislike this card art, right? Because human scout, but all the focus is on the big weird bird dinosaur thing. So mana dork, but it has reach. And yeah, no, it's pretty. It's B. Map the Frontier, 4 mana. I think it's fine. Tumblewag. Oh, yeah, no, this card's like great. ETB, get search driving for basic, put into your hand, you get some sort of each desert you control. You generally don't tend to have that many deserts in draft. Like a few, it'll be maybe +3/+3. That's good. And it does get to search for one. So, I mean, you're not playing this card if you're not running any deserts, because then it's just a 3 mana 1/2 that chooses for a basic, which isn't the worst, I guess. But it's probably not playable. Like, so you probably have a couple of deserts, at least. But you do need a couple of deserts. But I think he's B, because he can actually be pretty strong. You can get the deserts out. But it would be too easy for you not to get the deserts out, and then he would not be strong. I'm pretty sure we've already seen this. ETB, oh, but you plot him and then you add the mana, I guess. So I think that's pretty good. Like, A levels are pretty good. So it ramps you a bit. It's fine. It's B. Oh, this card's fantastic, isn't it? Now this card, right, is double green in its mana cost, but it's going in the third colour tier because it only needs one green for plot. So, sure, I don't need. I mean, this is not because the third colour thing doesn't make any sense. I still don't. I mean, maybe we'll turn it back to splash. Like you could absolutely you could splash green for this guy because it's like, oh, I'm not going to be able to hard cast him. Oh well, I'll just plot him instead. Creatures you control have have double tower power and toughness. Yes, and he has reach and trample because why not? That's a very very good card. No red. What is that? Rambling Possum. Let's just say it's supposed to. Then you return any creature's hand of this and during his hand. I don't think that's. It's like a 4/5, and then you get to bounce your own creatures. Like, it doesn't seem that great to me. Plod Bard. I guess having like 4 arms would make you better at playing the piano because you could press more keys at once. That's a very small piano. I mean, he's basically creatures you control into the battlefield with a plus encounter. Which I think he's an A tier card. Wait, is it 1 mana? It was 1 mana. Because you just like card and then end of your turn. Move to my end step, 1 tap, put a plus encounter on all the creatures I played this turn. Reach for the sky. It's flash, it's instant speed reach. Yes, please. It's 4 mana though. But it is a good card, not a fine card. Rise of the Varmints. Yeah, I feel like this is probably good. Put up to 2 creature under the lands from when it goes into your hand. 2 mana to save your cards from a board wipe. I mean, six mana to just like cast 2 creatures for free? Yes, please. Actually, it's A tier. It might even be S tier. Because you would mill them, and if you could put creatures from the milled cards into your hand, put those creatures on the battlefield, and if those creatures have power 4, they gain hexproof and indestructible. I think it's S. I mean, it's good. Don't think I can put it in great. A. It's a 6 mana 7/7 with cycling. It's got basic land / desert cycling. Ward 3. I think it's. A. Almost Paladin. It's a 4 mana plot, 4/5. It's probably a B tier. The life is irrelevant. The trample is what's important. Think it's good enough to put it into B. Stubborn Burrow Fiend. It's a badger beast mount. And it's a bloodthirsty badger. Well, look at those teeth. I mean, it looks pretty good, actually. I mean, it's just clear shot. I was just sorcery, though. It is a sorcery. I think it just ends up as solid B tier green removal. Not like this little one down here, which is like S tier. It's not quite S tier, but it might actually be S tier. Trash the town. That is a large man. There's another large man. I need yet another large man. I think that's probably A. It's only a sort, but it is 2 mana to make like probably something quite big. And of course, you plot it and then cast it later. It's probably going to be like a 5/5 or something, maybe a 4/4 for 2. I mean, I haven't seen that much artifact and specifically enchantment removal, so it gets a B tier. We're into the multicolored boys. That's Ackle the Unrepentant. What does he do? Sack 3 other creatures, and you can put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield. Honestly, he's a Scorpion Dragon Rogue. He's also flying and trample. He's a 4-mana 5/5 with flying and trample. He's definitely not splash worthy because of the incredible color intensity, but I think he makes it into S. And he flash. She's Naya. ETB, if you cast her, impulsive draws and she becomes tapped. I think she... I probably would splash. Four mana to do 5 damage. This is probably like... B tier. Because it sucks in draft. I think it would be good, but honestly, I'm putting it a B. Assimilation Aegis. 1 white blue. It's banishing light, but then you can equip it on something and that becomes a copy of it. It's definitely A tier. I think it's only A. At knife point. think that's B. Baby cactus folk. It's 5 mana. So, I mean, yeah. When Reanimate is in the set. This guy is incredibly annoying. Oh no, he's not the one I was thinking of. Great flavor text. I think he's B just because you need to have token generation. Body Paul. Clear cutter. 3 green, blue, blue. Whenever you attack, so she doesn't even have to attack. Might be a woman. It feels like a might be a man. I don't know. I think it's a woman. Wait. That's a big ox. It's legendary though, but it's ETB. And she can reanimate lands from your graveyard. I mean, she's 6 mana. But I think she still goes into S. Breaches. He's B just because you need artifacts to sack. This guy. Honestly, I mean, he's probably A tier, actually. No, he's not. He's only B. He's high B, but he's still B. Cactus folks. Oh, it's the guy with the minigun. Yeah, no, that's really good. So we'll get +1/+1 because it is a mount. So it'd be like a 2/5 at worst. A saddle 3 for 3 mana with flying and lifelink. I think it's probably B, but it could very easily be A. I have so many of this card. By which I mean like 3, maybe 2. There is a lot of plot. So I think he's not... Is he A? Because is there much plot in Simic? I think he might actually be A. There's a very blurred line between A and B. Ariette. Whenever an aura you control becomes attached to a non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to that aura's mana value, gain control of that permanent for as long as that aura is attached to it. This is a commander card? B? Wait, hang on a second. What are you even going to hit? Like, stop cold? See it. So stop cold. This, you're not demonic ruckusing your opponent's thing on a 1-drop to gain control of it. Stop, it's waste gaining control of something with stop cold. Because it's tapped and loses all abilities anyway. There's reach for the sky, right? You could put that in your opponent's 3-drop and then you'd have an interview. Yeah, it's okay. No, that's a very, very good play. Very, very solid play. Just looking through for auras. Pariah, that doesn't help on Pariah. I guess it kind of does. But like... Only counts non-lands, so Buried in the Garden is irrelevant. What's the mana value of Pariah? You only work on 2-drops. Like, who's Pariahing a 2-drop? It's just gonna die. So it turns out that in this set, there are 1.5 cards that are actually useful. So this card is just a 4-mana 4/4 with lifelink, which isn't bad. But I think she's B tier in this set. Right, you're drafting Outlaws of Thunder Junction, she's B tier. Why do you have an Ice Axe? It's not quite an Ice Axe. Give you double mercenary triggers or activations. She's probably good, but that's still B tier at the moment. All the lands are going to go into groups. Oh no, that's this one. This card is B tier. Okay, Naya. Create a token that's a copy of target token you control that entered the battlefield this turn. What? This is a commander card. But I think he's still good in this set. Gitrog. I mean, he's a 5-mana 6/5 with trample and haste. Would I splash for him? Probably. That's just a very, very... These guys 80. That's just such a solid effect. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less. That's not the right thing. That's what we want. It's just awkward. You have to keep paying for it. But it does draw you a card. I think it's still C tier. This is actually pretty good. It did pretty good work for me the other week. I don't know what that is. It's a snake horse mount, I guess. Wait, she just punched somebody so hard they left their boots behind. I hadn't noticed that. She just uppercut somebody and she uppercut somebody off the card image and they left their boots behind. And apparently some smoke. So maybe they just disintegrated. And that doesn't explain why their boots were left behind, but none of their other clothes were. What does she do? If a secretary, she only does 1 damage though. This guy is incredibly annoying to play against. Any form of aristocrats is so annoying. So you can plot something. I think he's B. He's more of a constructed card. Is Kellen the Kid? Kellen the Kid. Oh yeah. 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 I kind of want one of these. Kind of want to build a. Kind of wanted to build a Simic Commander deck, mainly because Oko and Oko. I have both. No, I think this guy's pretty good. Having said that, he's kind of awkward, but I think I'd put him in A. Yeah, I've got cards that are in A that would go down to the good tier, and cards that are in B that would go up. There's too much of an overlap. They're not being split very well. I think this guy's A tier. Is he A tier? Don't want him there. Oh, he's at the beginning of upkeep. He's slightly more of a kind of constructed commander card. Alright, Lazab. Three mana 1/4. 250 prowess. You cast a multicolor. I think she's B for limited. You get the rest into your hand. I think it's B. It's too slow to be A tier. Because it's 5 mana. And it's a sorcery. Yeah, Malcolm's just good. Possibly even S tier levels of good. I mean, that's just a really good effect. I think she's A. That's really good. But it does require mounts and or vehicles. And realistically, in this case, vehicles or mounts, because there aren't that many vehicles. Omega, split of seconds. E. E tier. Very, very cool card. Interesting. I've seen a very interesting commander deck with her. In limited, absolute trash. She does nothing. She's a 4 mana 2/5 with menace and no upside. In 3 colours. Literally unplayable. Oko the Ringleader. He has this ability that you always forget about, which is actually very annoying because the problem with it is he ceases to be a planeswalker. And then you have to discard a card because you... Honestly, I don't actually have a very high opinion of this card. I don't think it's that good. Like, he just draws 2 cards and discards 2 cards if you haven't committed a crime. And you don't want it to become a copy of... And then he'd have summoning sickness. And he becomes a copy of something. But then you're like, I don't really want to attack because then he might die. If he dies in combat. I don't want to -1 him to make a 3/3. Because I want to try and get this off. I'm reluctant to put him in B. But honestly, he's going in A. Pillage the Bog. Yeah, no, that's probably A tier. It's selective drawing. And it's cheap. Yeah, I mean, this has just got a really good ETB effect. I've been killed by this as well. I mean, he's a 5 mana 6/5 with flying and trample and upside. You can make him indestructible and do this. This card's amazing. He's splash tier. Well, he's splash tier with a caveat. I would definitely splash red for him. I don't know if I'd splash black, but he is still splash tier. That's Roxanne next. Riku of Many Paths. Oh, hey, this clock. Wait. Spree cards are modal. Right? Rulings? Spells with Spree are modal spells. He's a commander card. But spree spells are modal. Split cards are not. Well, they could be. But there aren't that many spree cards. Split spree cards. So he's probably just going to be a 3-mana 3/3 most of the time. Roxanne is very good. Got one of her pre-release as well. Oh, you can sack a creature to destroy target non-land permanent. Yeah, I think she probably goes in A then. I mean, he's a 2-mana 2/2 with menace. You'd have to plot stuff, and it would draw you cards. I think he's probably A. I mean, she's a 4-mana 4/5 with vigilance. With when you cast a creature spell, make it S tier easily. With splashing, she would add you a lot of mana as well. Yeah, just for the fact that it makes me tokens when I cast creature spells. I'm probably going to splash for her. This guy's really good. And he doesn't have flying, but I'd probably still splash for it. No, I think he's just S tier. This card is B tier. It's very, very mid. What does this even do? It's so specific that I think it's... Is she B or is she C? She's definitely not D because she's a 2-mana 2/3. I mean, I think she goes into B because she's red and you could play Burn, I suppose. This guy's... Yeah, high B. I mean, it is putting a death touch counter on all your creatures, yes. Then Vraska, she turns things to stone. Would probably splash. Whip her spark though. Wrangler of the Damned. B. It's just another Azorius don't cast spells card. I mean, you attack. Yeah, but he doesn't. How do you? You have to tap him. He's a 3-mana 4/2 with vigilance, but he'll probably just die. And you how do you make him become tapped? He doesn't tap to attacking. Does not cause him to attack to become tapped. To tap. He's a C tier rare. But it's all. It's a mana rock. I think it's C. I mean, it might be better than that. This is incredibly expensive. C tier. It's just. Wait, you getting for gold? That looks more like a diamond. Make a treasure. Just doesn't do anything. It's a B tier card. I think this is good. Pretty sure that's like an A tier card. Gives you a lot of treasure. This is a solid A tier card. This is a C tier card. The fact that it gives you mana saves you from D tier. That is a D tier card. I don't want to sacrifice a land. Like, it has its uses, but, like, no. It's bad. That's alright. She puts it on top, though. I mean, it might actually be D tier, just for the pun. By which I mean B. Beware of Cog. This is a D tier card. That's just not a useful effect. Right. So are these the? They're not. Right. I'm gonna put all of these in B tier. They're the common dual lands. Yeah, it's all 10. Arid Archway. I think this is okay. It's like a Karoo land, which are decent, so it's probably bad. Conduit Pylons is fine. That's that is a C tier card. It's just so expensive. I guess it's probably B tier. Right, these are A tier. I think this guy is S tier. I think he's broken as well. We're to breaking news. Fell the mighty, destroy all creatures with creative. Yeah, he's probably A tier. I think it's B tier just because its cleave cost is so expensive. Journey to Nowhere. It's just a good card. Leyline Binding. It's probably going to be, realistically in draft, it's going to be 2. Right? So it's going to be 4 mana for... which is A tier. Right? In Limited, you're not going to have much domain. In this set. Pariah. This is a hilarious... I love this. It's quite a funny card. I mean, it's basically removal and that saves you for a bit. Like, if you put it on something and then if you attack me, I'll just, like, no blocks and then your stuff takes 1,000,000 damage. Because all damage is dealt at once. So again, it's A tier removal. I kind of knew that there'd be a lot of amazing removal coming up in breaking news. Path to Exile is a single white instant exile target creature. I think we might actually put Path to Exile going in S tier because single white instant exile target creature. Did they put swords in this set? Swords to Plowshares, that is. Which is single white instant exile target creature that's control against life equal to its power. Archive Trap is B. It gets B over C just because 13 cards is actually quite a lot and it's funny. Commandeer. It's free. It's the only thing that gets it into A tier. Why wouldn't let me close the tab? Essence Capture, cancel a creature spell. Firefox, please. B just because cancel a creature spell is mana drain. What? My mana drain is S tier. This is counter spell with upside. I think my mouse wheel might be broken. Or it's like dying. Maybe I actually need to buy a new mouse. Mindbreak Trap. Probably A. Is it A? They need to cast 3 spells. And the part of the point of it, they exile any number of target spells. Is the real goal with this card is that they cast is basically that your opponent is like storming off or something. Right? Ideally, you want there to be multiple stuff on a lot of stuff on the stack. It's going to be a bad counterspell that's sometimes really good. Right? It's going to be a 4-mana counterspell that's sometimes free. Repulse. I mean, it's just blue removal. Nothing special. Heartless Pillage. Imp's Mischief. Murder. Reanimate. I feel like this card's probably bonkers. Where's back for more? There it is. Surgical Extraction. It's a single Phyrexian black. Wow. Dead Horse delivers beating. In draft. Okay, you do get to look at your opponent's hand. And it's free. Thoughtseize. Collective Defiance. I think it's probably an A-tier card. The versatility of Spree. Wait, that means it's not a reprint. I thought all the breaking news were reprints. And it's Escalate. So it probably is. Definitely is. There's no way they... I thought they were all reprints, which I guess they are. This card is bad. Right? It's so expensive to do anything useful with it. I mean, if X equals 1, right? You're paying 5 mana to do 5 damage to target to want to something. That's sorcery speed, which is bad. If X equals 2, you're paying 8 mana to do 10 damage to 2 things, which is a lot of damage, but it's 8 mana. Right? You pay, if X is 3, you're paying 11 mana, which is basically just too much for you to ever be doing that in limited. You're not going to be paying... You're not going to be paying 14 mana for cast it for X equals 4, right? So X equals 3, you're going to just do 15 damage to 3 different things. You're just going to kill 3 things, sure. I mean, if X equals 4, you could get 20 damage to your opponent's face. Right? So 11 mana, it'll do 15 damage to your opponent's face. But, like, it's bad. I'm putting it in D tier. It's just too expensive. Fling, on the other hand, is B. I killed somebody with Fling. Fling, it's a classic. Destroy X target artifacts and or planes. It's basically... It's kind of like Chaos Warp. I think I put it in A. It's... It's bad, right? And then it becomes worse Lightning Bolt. Which isn't bad. Clear Shot. I love this. So good, this card. It gets S tier because it's Clear Shot. Put it in A tier. So if there was, say, if you had 3, it would be 7 mana and you'd get 6 1/1s. But it's probably going to be like 2. In which case it's 5 mana. And you get 4 1/1s. And destroy 2 things. I think it's B. Because it gets too expensive. Basically, you're not going to be able to do that much because it gets too expensive too quickly. I mean, it's direct creature removal in green. Probably A. I mean, obviously you could have a 1 mana. You also don't even have to buy anything. I think it's probably A tier. If you don't need the buff, you can cast Embrace equals 0. Tornado is bad. I've never got any use out of it. But it's got Psychic, I should probably put it in B. Anguished Unmaking. Very good card. Ultimate Showdown downgraded to penultimate. I mean, it is 6 mana, but... With 3 mana, instant destroy target creature with upside. Buried in the Gun. This was like Banishing Light with upside. It's Crime and Punishment. He gets A just for the versatility. Nearly done. Decimate. It gets like D because you have to hit an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a land. That's how that works. B. A, because it's versatile, because you can also use it to reanimate your own stuff. You've got Void Slime somewhere. There's Void Slime. I mean... Yeah. That's also a very good counterspell. It's 2 mana. Sure, it doesn't hit stuff that's not targeting you, but put a possible counter on a creature you control for no apparent reason. It's probably an instant as well. No, okay, it's only a sorcery. Let's Ionize. I mean, it's a solid counterspell. Oko, Thief of Crowns. He is Splash tier. This card was banned in Standard. Back when he was legal in Standard. He's not legal in Standard. This printing, I believe, is not legal. I assume, anyway. I'm pretty sure. I believe Oko, Thief of Crowns was banned in Standard. From Throne of Eldraine. He's banned in Pioneer, Modern, and Legacy, and Historic, and Explorer. Yeah, this card is broken. It's banned in Legacy. It's banned in Legacy because +1 target artifact or creature loses all abilities and becomes an elk. This card is splash tier. And I have one. And I need to build a Simic commander deck to put him in. Right down. I think this is a good card. Destroy target. You know, I just think this is a great card. I think that is a good card. That's a very cool card. I think that's pretty nice. It's taken a lot longer than I was expecting. We're nearly there. Terminal Agony. I mean, it's really expensive. It's B tier. Where did I put Murder? I better have put Murder in A tier. Murder? I think that's Murder. Yeah, okay, good. I put Murder in A tier. Tyrant Scorn. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty decent. It's versatile. It destroys small things. Bigger things, you can get rid of them. You can get rid of them temporarily. You can also obviously save your own stuff with it. Exile target monocolored permanent for 2 mana. At instant speed? At instant speed. Villainous Wealth. You have to cast it for quite a lot to get it. It's like kind of exponential because you get more cards and you can cast more of them. Destroy target non-land permanent for 3 mana. Yes, alright. Void Slime, because of course. That's a very, very good counter spell. Where did it go? There it is. Grindstone. Maybe it's A tier. I feel like it's probably really good. Feels very good. Dust Bowl. Honestly, like D tier. E tier. You have to sack a land for it. Wasn't Stoneforge Mystic also banned? This won't tell me. I think this card also got banned in Standard. I mean, it's like A tier, maybe. It's more of a constructed card. This card's very good. I have one. But I think it's only A. It's not S tier. Desertion. I think it's A. It's very expensive for a counterspell. Lord Opportunist. Yeah. A. It's a very nice ability. Creatures dying is a thing that happens quite a lot in Magic. Yeah, that's S tier. I don't know if this is actually good. It seems like it doesn't do anything in limited. Oh yes, 4 mana for a 2/2 that also counters a spell. Yes, okay then. This is Desert. Desert's a terrible card. It's like S tier. Whatever plus was couldn't tell creature you control. Can't. Yeah. Oh, what? I only 2 mana. S tier. I mean, the big score are all mythics, so you would expect them all to be pretty decent. This is like C tier. It might even be D tier. It doesn't do anything in limited. I mean, it literally does, but it doesn't do anything important. What are you sacking? Clues, treasures. But like me, I don't know what you're doing is sacking a treasure and paying 2 to get a treasure. Like what? You could pay like I guess it would only really matter for clues or food. Remember much of that in this deck? I mean, you can pay like it has. I guess it has 4 mana draw a card. Activate only once each turn. I think it's B tier. A tier. I need one of these. My artifact commander deck. World Walker Helm. You need to be able to make artifact tokens, so I'm putting it in B. Because it's not that powerful and it needs support. 4 mana, ETB, draw 3 cards, gain 6 life, and create 3/2/1 black bats. I don't think this is very good. It's like a debt, right? You have to pay off the debt, I guess. I don't think it's good. I think it's gambling. I think it's C. Yeah, it's probably like A. I had a game where I was winning and he cast that, and I was like, okay, I'm going to repulse my own Aven Interrupter to exile it. Hostile Investigator. Exactly. Target opponent discards a card. He's A because he needs support. He needs other ways to make your opponent discard. This card, however, is S tier. He's not quite good enough to splash. I don't think. This is just a random card that's like B tier, I guess. I mean, because he needs artifacts, and this isn't an artifact set. A. Not really much more to say about it. Overwhelming forces. I mean, it's 8 mana. I think it goes to B. It's not even really. I mean, it's kind of playable in. No, it's not playable in Commander. I think this is good. I put one in a deck. Skullcrack. I don't know if this is a good card, but it's kind of funny. I put it in B because damage is being not damage doesn't get. I feel like it probably can't be counted. I don't know. Cruel Ultimatum. I think it's not actually that good. It's far too expensive. Detention Sphere, yeah. S tier? No. A. But it is very high up in the A. Hypothesis. I think it's B. It's A. It would be an absolute pain to keep track of because you need 3 different sets of creature tokens. And you also need to keep track of whether they were tapped or untapped and had summoning sickness and all that. Contagion Engine. Yeah, that is a card. I think I'm putting it in B just because I'm not sure how much support it has. Mindslaver. Invention heralded as revolutionary. Reviewer gives a 1,000,000-star rating. And I mentioned this to somebody else who agreed. It totally should have been a cowboy hat. And that is all of them. Ooh. So, yeah, goodbye. This will be put on YouTube. Maybe not now, but also maybe now. So, yeah, goodbye.